Hey guys, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Amber from Unique Upcycles, and in today's video I am going to be making over a set of nightstands. If you missed my video where I transformed a waterfall vanity into matching nightstands, those are actually my current new nightstands. So I will be making over my previous nightstands that I never got around to actually making over. So if you like to see future makeovers, furniture flips, trash to treasure, stuff like that, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that little bell notification so you can get notified whenever I post a video. I do post every Saturday morning. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so here are my nightstands. I got these at two separate times. So the one that's already sanded down is the original. I got that about a year ago. I paid $10 for it, and it originally looked like the black one. That's how it came. And I got the black one a few months later for free with the intention of making them match, and I just never got around to it. I'm going to be changing out the hardware on this, but I always keep all my old knobs to use on future pieces, so I'm just going to remove those and set those aside. I'm going to go ahead and start with the black one since it's not sanded down yet, and I'm just taking my orbital sander. It's the rigid 6-inch orbital. If you are in the market for an orbital sander, I highly recommend this. I ended up sanding my wood floors in my room with this. Wouldn't recommend that, but the sander is great. I decided that I was also going to sand down the bottom shelf. I wanted to have like a wood top and a wood shelf. So I went ahead and did that, and then I remembered I also sanded down the drawers on the first one I did, so I needed to sand off all the black on the inside of the drawers, and then I just repeated the same process on the first one that I did. I never actually sealed this, so I was just sanding straight stain off, so it came out pretty easy. To fill the old drawer knob holes, I'm just going to use some Bondo. It's a 2-part mixture. You mix the first part with the red little tube, that's the hardener. You just want to mix it together until you get a consistent color, and then you'll just apply it over whatever you need to fill, and I'm just using this on both holes. Once it's dry, I'll go back and sand it down with my palm sander, and I was using a 120 grit for this. Once I was all done sanding, I brought it inside and I pre-mixed my TSP substitute in a spray bottle, and I just wiped it down with that. While I was cleaning it, I noticed that on the black one, the top almost looked like it was kind of bowed, and I flipped them over and I noticed that the screw holes underneath didn't match. It wasn't connected. So the front piece and the back piece was flipped upside down, so I took it apart, flipped it around, and screwed it into place correctly. I then took some wood filler and just filled any other little dings, and I sanded that smooth once it was dry. Using some frog tape, I taped off all the areas that I want to keep paint free. I then applied 2 coats of Zinsser Bin Shellac based primer to the drawers and the body of both of the nightstands.
About to leave, already packing, come with me, I'm not really asking, we'll get away to a place where we don't know, about to see.
Once I was done priming, I took a 220 sanding sponge and just lightly sanded down any texture that was left from the primer. I'm using the color Sheepskin by Folk Art, and I'm applying this with my Folk Art small chalk paint brush. I used the small brush on the entire piece just because I wasn't painting any big flat areas. It was easier to get into all those little details. I did a total of 3 coats.
I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free with me.
Using that same 220 sanding sponge, I did sand in between each coat, and then I gave it a final sand before top coating after the final coat of paint. Now to remove the tape from the top and the shelf. When you're removing tape, you want to make sure that you pull it off really slowly. This is in real time so that you don't pull up any of your paint. You don't want that to happen. And then I did speed it up for the rest of it, and not gonna lie, this was probably the cleanest line I've ever done. Usually I always have bleed through when I tape off.
Take my hand, we'll make it somehow.
I then took that same 220 sanding sponge and just sanded around the edges to get rid of any roughness or texture that you could feel. Anything I could feel with my hand, I just sanded over lightly. The bottom shelf on one of them had this kind of yellow tint in the wood, and although I wanted to keep the original wood color because I really did like it, I wanted to kind of dull that down. So I decided to use Varathane and Antique White to apply over the top just to lighten up the wood a little bit and to try to hide that yellow. I'm just applying this with a foam brush. I'm not going all the way to the edge. You'll see that when I get the paper towel and wipe it back, I wipe it into the edges since I don't want it to kind of saturate into the paint.
Be free with me.
After letting the stain dry for 1 hour, I applied 2 coats of Dixie Belle's Clear Coat in flat using my Zebra Palm Pro brush.
Come on and let's go, let's be free with me. Yeah, be free, be free, be free.
I switched over to using a detail brush to apply the top coat on the legs and the little details around the top, just to prevent any buildup from happening. I added some new drawer pulls that I got off of Amazon, and here's the completed look. For those of you interested in the numbers, remember I paid $10 for one of the nightstands and I got the other for free. I have a total of $15 in materials into this, so that's a total of $25 invested. I will be listing these for $225 with hopes of making a $200 profit. As always, feel free to leave any questions in the comments, and I will see you guys next Saturday. Thanks for watching.